I tell you, mister, what we're gonna do with the money? We're gonna buy balloons. Black balloons. In a sky so light, it seems Snow White on one bright morning soon. Dancing in the sky, you're gonna spy up high a black balloon. All alone above, a sign of love. Release so-called coons out from deep despair.
In the last days of America's most tragic decade, an unemployed boxer landed an acting job in a Broadway musical. It was a job he needed badly. He was paying lawyers to keep him out of jail, paying alimony to his first wife, supporting his current wife and child. And since he was forbidden to practice his trade, depended on fees like this to keep him going.
I'm just about what they call broke, because I'm not allowed to work. I was stopped right in the middle of my profession. And I'm not complaining over what they have done, but I'm just saying that if I never fight again, I never see a ring, the people will know that, you know, who the real champ is.
And we'll fill the street with dancing feet beneath big black balloons.
The play opened. The critics said no. The play closed. Muhammad Ali was again unemployed.
As many of you know, these days I'm not boxing. So I accept these college invitations to come out to meet many of you. I realize that in these country towns like this, you never get a chance to see world champs.
Can my title be taken without me being whooped? No! One more time. No! That's all I can do.
I've turned down $8 million in movies, commercials, advertisements, endorsements before draft haven't came up because of my religious beliefs.
But those who knew him best knew it was idleness rather than insolvency that was eating away at his morale. He was an artist, and boxing was his art. He loved it, had loved the glitter and glory of being the best heavyweight in the world. Nothing could take its place despite all his brave statements. And so his friends were happy about a new film project, one that would nourish his imagination as well as his pocketbook. Deprived of the right to fight live opponents, he could pit himself against the legendary champions of the past.
I hear a lot of talk about old-time great fighters. I hear people say that Joe Louis, Jack Dempsey, Jack Johnson, Jim Jeffries, and all of them would have annihilated the likes of myself, Muhammad Ali. After watching these films, watching their opponents, watching their styles, watching how they fought, watching their footwork and their speed, and my critics will admit that I am the fastest heavyweight in the history of boxing, with feet and hands. It may come as a shock to you, but I say that I would have beat every heavyweight that ever lived before me.
For this journey, he was given a very special escort, Cus D'Amato, trainer and manager extraordinary, who stands in the same relation to boxing as Newt Rockne does to football.
It is the mark of a great fighter when he has character plus skill, because a fighter with character and skill will often rise and beat a better fighter because of this. Character is that quality upon which you can depend under pressure and other conditions. Character makes the fighter predictable. Character helps him win.
Cus D'Amato, a remarkable student of psychology who has proved time after time that mental attitude is as important to a fighter as physical condition, who raised Floyd Patterson by hand from the age of 14, converting him from a juvenile delinquent to a world's champion. Took the blubberous 302-pound hulk named Buster Mathis, worked 80 pounds off him, polished his reflexes, and made him a top contender.
I know it's moving up. Come on. That's what I want.
Who recognized talent in Jose Torres, a crude street fighter, and nursed him into the World Light Heavyweight Championship. This was the one chosen to guide Muhammad Ali through the labyrinth of boxing history and to provide him with worthy adversaries.
Cus, what's this you're telling me about Joe Louis beating me?
Yes, I believe that Joe Louis would beat you, probably without point of it a better part of the fight.
No.
But toward the end of that fight, he would catch up to you as he catches up to everyone else and take you out of there.
Slow Joe Louis whoop me? Slow moving, shuffling Joe Louis? Beat me?
Joe Louis said this once: a man could run, but he can't hide.
Oh, that's understandable. And,
All right.
and I have another saying. You said how hard his jab was. I have a saying, too. He may be able to hit hard, but it means nothing if he can't find nothing to hit.
The point is that nobody finished once he hurt him, and once he hurt you, you wouldn't finish either.
No, man, I'm not no flat-footed. This is a different day.
You don't have to
I'm
be
not no
flat-footed.
flat-footed.
One of the great assets that Joe Louis had.
Slow
He has
fighter?
the experience and the timing and the determination. He wouldn't give up.
If
He
he
wouldn't
hit
get
me once, I'm
frustrated
gonna move.
like some of those bums that you fought.
If Joe Louis hit me once, I'm gonna move. Who bums?
Some of those bums that you fought, they got discouraged in the fight because they couldn't catch you.
Joe Louis, you're really funny. Joe Louis had a thing called a Bum a Month Club. You're gonna say I'm fighting bums. The men that Joe Louis fought, if I'd fought them today in Madison Square Garden, they would boo and mad at the ring. Fat bellies, out of shape, awkward, had no stance, no footwork. They couldn't even move that much. And
all a man can do is beat the best that are around at the time he's been all right.
Well, don't call my men bums.
I didn't. Well, you were the one that belittled Joe Louis on his performance.
Joe Louis has never said nothing good about me. Every time
you
I
only
had
told
a fight,
the truth.
Joe
and if
Louis
it wasn't good, it's your fault, not his.
His judgment is bad because every time I fought, Joe Louis picked the wrong man. I didn't only beat the man, but I told him what round he would go down. Joe Louis never
could
do
that. With the characters that you boxed, you could do that.
The characters that Joe Louis boxed, I could.
And he could have done it, too.
Joe Louis didn't fight too many people betting Cleveland
Didn't he
Williams.
say he's going to take Max Schmeling out? And he did, the same way.
Joe Louis, he didn't tell me the round of the minute.
Look,
Joe
he
Louis,
didn't try to because he was not Muhammad Ali.
We both can't talk at the same time. We can sing together. We can't
Look,
talk
let's
together.
not argue anymore.
Well, let's watch the
about
film.
All right, let's watch the film.
You watch this and don't pop off too much because I want to show you something about your great Joe Louis.
This is the return bout between Louis and Schmeling.
Louis don't look no better to me now than he did at first. Same old Joe Louis, probably older and worse now. But he's just looking for that right. He's had it on his mind for 2 years, and he's dreaming about it, and he's watching for it.
He's not going to lead the left hook anymore, so he won't be hit with the right hand.
And then when he hit Smelling, you notice how this never would happen to me.
See that right hand?
Right now, I had tie him up or something. He ain't that unconscious that he can't.
Well, you weren't hit as hard as Schmeling was hit.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
you notice that Schmeling takes a terrific punch. Schmeling was a very game fighter.
Yeah.
That could absorb punishment.
Now watch what happens now. Watch this real close.
He had to.
Right now, he should start circling. He don't circle. He stays there. See?
Well, he was already badly hurt.
He was too hurt. He couldn't think,
That's right. That's what
right.
happened.
Oh, yeah, that's what happened. Who do you think I am?
You've never been hit that
Who do
way
you think?
yet.
No.
Let's see what happens when they catch up to you.
I've never been tagged.
One day they'll tag you like that if you ever get into the ring. And when they do tag like that, we'll see how your legs behave.
Oh, this was one of history's greatest fights.
The bones in your legs will turn to jelly.
And that was really a disgrace compared to what I've heard. Joe at his best, and me would be no contest. Cuz, look, you are telling me that Joe Louis would have knocked me out. How would Joe Louis knock me out when this is Joe Louis? Now, what's he gonna do? While I'm jumping and flipping and moving, pop, pop, I'm sticking and doing my little shuffle and hopping over here. And I mean, how would Joe? And don't say that I can do this for a minute, because I keep this up for 15 rounds, 10 rounds, 3 minutes a round. Now, how's Joe Louis gonna get to me? I just can't see slow Joe Louis, who was shorter than I am, fought lighter weight than I did, and not as half as fast with his feet or hands. How could Joe Louis knock me out? Would I just quit dancing that night and stand there and let him hit me? If he hits me once, he won't hit me the second time.
But it was obvious that the champ was looking inward, seeing another reel unwind, the story of his own fantastic career. Not so long ago, there was a little black boy who lived in Louisville, Kentucky. In fact, 6 generations of his family had lived there, ever since the father of the line was purchased by a Kentucky planter named Cassius Marcellus Clay, Abraham Lincoln's ambassador to Russia. The slave family was given the name of their masters.
We were named after our slave masters when we first was brought to America. We were robbed of all knowledge of ourselves. If I said, here comes Mr. Chang Chong, you'd picture a Chinaman. If I said, here comes Mr. Khrushchev, you look for Russian. If I said, here comes Mr. Goldberg, you look for Jew. If I said, here comes Mr. White Cloud, you look for Indian. If I said, here comes Mr. Castro, you look for Cuban.
Here comes Mr. Lumumba, Mr. Kenyatta. You look for African, a black man. Now, what's your last name? I said, here come Mr. Jones, Mr. Hawkins, Mr. Clay, Mr. Culpepper, Mr. Roundtree. You won't know if he's black or white until you see him. Right?
This one was a friendly, handsome, outgoing little boy who lived in a comfortable house with a full quota of parents, was sent to school neatly dressed, and was given a bike for good behavior.
At that time, Cassius was about 12, and he was at that time training out at Columbia Gym. And Cassius, he came out there to a meeting, a home show, and someone had stolen his bike. So he was very disturbed about it, and someone sent him downstairs to see me because they told him that he should report it to the police, and I was the closest police officer at that time. So he came down to tell me the story about someone had stolen his bike, and he was very upset about it and wanted to find out who it was so he could whip him. And so in the talking, I asked him, I said, do you know how to fight? He said, well, no, I've never fought, but he said, this is one time I would. So after a long talk, I finally got him to quit his crying and told him that I would turn it into the police department, and that if he really wanted to fight, he should come down and be taught properly.
I started boxing and at the age of 12 years old, about 1953 or 54. And my intention wasn't to be a great fighting champion, but just to go hang around the clubs, fight on the local amateur TV shows. It later led up to winning the Kentucky State Golden Gloves, on up to the National Golden Gloves, National AAU, and World Olympic Gold Medal. Then I realized I had a chance to make a good living at it. I went to professional fights. I trained with other professionals. I watched fighters, and I learned, took the good and left out the bad, and I really wanted to do it. I worked towards it every day, 6 days a week for 12 or 13 years. It's like a doctor. If you see a great doctor, you can't say you're a good doctor, you know everything about the body. How did you do it? It took him time. He had to go through experiences. He didn't do it overnight.
By the time he was 18, he had been fighting for 6 years and had fought a total of 108 amateur bouts. Had won 6 Kentucky Golden Gloves championships, 2 National Golden Gloves championships, 2 National AAU tournaments. It was now 1960, an Olympic year. The games were being held in Rome, and it was to Rome that Cassius Clay flew.
Truthfully, I was worried before all of my fights because it's hard to beat a guy when he has his mind made up that he wants to win. So he was the roughest boy, and I caught on to him. But fast pace. For the first 2 rounds, I tired him out. In the 3rd round, he was mine.
Because the first real thrill, you know, the gold medal, when I'd had the Russian on this side of me, the silver medal, and the Polish fell on this side of me with the bronze medal, and I was standing right on the top with the pretty gold medal. That was my greatest thrill.
Clay came home. Louisville went mad about its Olympic hero.
Clay, I want to thank you for what you've brought back to America.
Thank you.
What you've brought back to Louisville, your family, and yourself.
Thank you, man.
You know, you're a credit to the fighting profession, and you're going to be a fine guy. You've conducted yourself as well out of the ring as you have in the ring, and work for you.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much.
A syndicate of local millionaire fight buffs took over his management, paying him $10,000 in cash, guaranteeing him a salary of $4,000 a year, plus a 50% split of all purses. They hired Angelo Dundee to train their boy and sign contracts for his first pro fight against a tough ex-police chief named Tony Hunsaker. Clay immediately made a down payment on a Cadillac.
I'm the prettiest thing in the ring today. I'm the prettiest sport. I have a bodyguard with me. As a matter of fact, I have 2 bodyguards. My brother, Ronald King, who's known...
He had informed the sports writers that Hunsaker was a bum who didn't belong in the same ring with him, and he had no intention of eating his words. He whipped Hunsaker handily, decisioning him in 6 rounds. Then he set up a base in Miami launched into a program of rigorous training under the knowing eye of Dundee, and fought a fight a month. If his moral growth had stopped right there, he'd be in no trouble at all today. For at that point in his career, he was an idealized American kid. Money hungry, on the make, untroubled by ideas. His feelings about himself are perfectly expressed by a sketch he did.
This one up here, I had a picture of dollar signs up here, thinking about the money or the profit that I made out of the fight.
Already he was threatening to develop into a master boxer, the greatest defensive fighter since Jack Johnson. His face was unmarked as a choir boy's. He never seemed to take any solid punches. But boxing is a business, and the business is entertainment. And what entertains the customers is the sight of blood. They may admire a master boxer, but they pay their money to see a slugger. He always seemed to be dancing away from his opponent, never planting himself and swinging. And yet, after decisioning Hunsaker, he had fought 5 fights in 5 months and won all 5 by knockouts, most of them in the first 3 rounds.
This picture here is just a view that I noticed after each one of my fights, where most of the people were a little mad and upset and angry because the big mouth was still winning, and after the fights they were disappointed because they paid to see me finish but didn't.
From the very first, Clay had shown a flair for attracting attention that amounted to genius.
Well, yes, I would love to break Floyd Patterson's record. As you know, today is the jet age. Everybody's trying to break records. Man says that he'll be on the moon by 1970. One man said that they're going to make cars that'll run by sunlight. Well, those are pretty game predictions. Well, I predicted I'll be the heavyweight champion by the time I'm 21.
He had graduated right at the bottom of his high school class, had a great deal of trouble with the printed word, and yet, when he spoke, expressed himself in a vivid and pungent way.
As soon as I knock that bum off, I'm going to take Cleveland Williams, our Billy Daniels, both in the same night if we can arrange it. I'll whoop both of the bums.
He was a bonanza for sports writers who were perennially hard up for copy. They flocked to the dingy little gym in Miami, where the raw young pug was spouting a torrent of quotable quotes.
I don't care how small the ring is. I'll fight that chump in a telephone booth.
At first, he seemed that rarest of creatures, a braggart who was not obnoxious. He had formed the habit not only of calling the exact round he would take his man out in, but doing it in verse.
I predict that he will go in 8 to prove that I am great. And if he want to go to heaven, I'll get him in 7. He'll be in the worst of fix if I cut it to 6. And if he keeps talking jive, I'll cut it to 5.
All this, of course, produced a harvest of headlines and provoked the mounting interest of matchmakers. In 1961, professional boxing was a sick sport. Had been ailing since the retirement of the slugging Rocky Marciano. Then, suddenly, there was a boy named Clay. Electric, articulate, superbly handsome, who moved like a ballet dancer and cut down his opponents with beautifully executed combinations of swift, clean blows. He had another marvelous asset as a crowd puller. His personality was rich and various enough for him to carry a double role. He had made some people love him, some people loathe him. Some came to see a gorgeous young hero destroy his opponents. Others came to see the Louisville loudmouth whipped, humiliated, and silenced.
Well, do it sound like I'm quiet to you? As loud as I'm hollering, you call me quiet?
Well, this is a report we heard from
I'm hollering loud because I can back up every word. And I'll whoop any man in the world, and I want everybody out there on TV to know it. I am the greatest.
But love him or loathe him, they came. And the matchmakers, sniffing the breeze with money-keen noses, kept the wires hot with offers to the Louisville group. He kept rolling along, fighting about once a month, putting together a string of 9 consecutive knockouts, among them Archie Moore.
Why don't somebody just give that old guy a pension, or why don't somebody retire him? And he's too old. The guy's 52 years old. He's old enough to be my granddaddy. I have earned a reputation as the Louisville Lip. Well, since he's going to invent a punch called the lip buttoner, and I'm the one who usually does the popping off, but he's starting, so I cut this from 8 rounds to 4 rounds.
Shame for a young boy like that to pick on an old man like Archer.
It was now that Clay first met Sonny Liston, informally. Sonny shaped up like a real bad man, an ex-con who would turn to legal mayhem with very profitable results. He had massacred Floyd Patterson in 1 round to take the championship. He had run up a terrific string of knockout victories and was the most feared slugger since Rocky Marciano. Clay invaded Liston's training quarters and began needling the iron-faced champion. The sports writers had been forewarned of the invasion, and it looked like a typical Clay publicity ploy.
I'm for real, man. I'm for real. You just get past Patterson. Come on, rank number 2. Jones will fall in 5.
Sonny, come over and make that offer. Come over and make that offer.
And you be there to see it, you hear? Man, I don't get hit. I'm the fastest thing on 2 feet, man. Is you crazy? I'm tired of talking.
Listen, the champion just made an offer. $100 a round to spar with him. And you can get in shape besides.
Well, I'll make a better offer than that. I'll fight the champ for nothing.
Cassius, how do you feel today?
Pretty good. How you doing?
I hear you met Sonny Liston. How was it?
He wasn't too friendly.
What do you have to say?
He didn't even shake my hand.
What are you going to do about that?
Now you must fall.
Rankings in the heavyweight division were champion Sonny Liston, number 1 challenger Floyd Patterson, number 2 Cassius Clay. Clay's management decided it might be prudent to pick up another paycheck before pitting their boy against Liston. Henry Cooper was the opponent they picked, a good journeyman boxer who, unlike most British fighters, was something of a slugger and was recognized as the top British heavyweight. So Cassius went to London town to fight Henry Cooper, whom he viewed with scant regard.
I'm not training too hard for this bum. Henry Cooper's nothing to me. If this bum go over 5 rounds, I won't return to the United States for 30 days. That's final.
The 4th round, and one looks for a sign that a left hook from Cooper could really hurt this man, but apart from the opening minute, he hasn't seemed to hurt Clay very much with his punches. He's put as many left hooks in as he can get, and Clay has taken them all somewhat contemptuously. He only seems to be half here. His mind seems to be half away, somewhere else.
And 55,000 people came that night. You should have seen the people. 1 layer, 2 layers, 10,000 on each layer, 15, 20 on some. 4 layers in the 5th layer. People were looking down on the ring. 55,000, and Cleopatra was at ringside to witness. Can this Louisville lip come over here and call the exact round again? We don't believe it. Come on, sucker.
The bell has sounded, and he's up at about 3, Clay. That was the end of the 4th round, and he hit him about 2 seconds before the end of the round with a left hook. Clay took 1 chance too many, and he still doesn't know where he is. He's still half out, Clay. They're working furiously on him in the corner. Angelo Dundee, his trainer, he really is giving him a talking to. Cooper's left hook finally scores, and Clay was down 2 seconds from the end of the 4th round and got up just after the bell, and he doesn't know where he is.
I had to get up to take care of things after that because it was rather embarrassing me on the floor, and As you know, I think that I'm the greatest, and I'm not supposed to be on the floor, so I had to get up and put him on out.
But now round 5 is the round in which Clay said he would beat Cooper, but now this crowd at Wembley are beginning to bay for a Cooper win. Clay on the floor at the end of the 4th, and now fighting to preserve his professional right here against Henry Cooper. Cooper's left eye is really in a shocking state. It really is now. Cooper's left eye is pouring blood. Gum shoots flying out. Henry is dripping blood. And I think Tommy Little will have to stop this because Cooper's eye is really in an absolutely appalling state. It is the worst cut eye I've seen for a very, very long time indeed. I do not see how he can let this go much further. It's round 5. And now he's slipping in, and I think this is it. The towel has come in from Cooper's corner, and Tommy Little's looking at it.
Champ and challenger were brought together to sign for a title match, scheduled for February 25th, 1964, in Miami Beach.
I'm not gonna get knocked out. If he wants me, you tell it to your camera, your TV man, your radio man, and you right there in the whole world. If Sonny Liston wants me, I'll kiss his feet in the ring. I'll go out of the ring on my knees, tell him he's the greatest, and catch the next jet out of the country. That's what I think about.
Now, for the first time in his career, Clay began to draw a bad press. Almost unanimously, the sports writers of the country turned against him. The very qualities which intrigued and charmed them before now seemed to infuriate them. Mercilessly, they poor-mouthed the loudmouth. He was a chronic backpedaler, interested only in keeping his face unmarked. Clay was flashing his usual speed and being more than ever his own clowning, bragging, versifying self. But this time, no one believed what he had to say. Hysterical ranting and raving, the verdict was. Either that or a stale replay of his old promotion gimmicks. The only way he could beat Liston was with a machine gun, and even that was doubtful. He wouldn't last a round, wouldn't last 2 rounds. The only reason it would go 3 rounds was that the promoters were afraid of enraging the closed-circuit TV ticket buyers. Nobody dissented. Bookies were posting odds on the fight that were already prohibitive. It was at this point that Jim Jacobs, one of the few authentic students of boxing around and co-owner of the largest fight film library in the world, decided to visit the challenger's training camp and see for himself.
I saw Sonny Liston a few days ago, Cassius.
Ain't he ugly? He's too ugly to be the world's champ. The world's champ should be pretty like me.
Well, he told me to bet my life that you wouldn't go 3 rounds.
Well, if you want to lose your money, then bet on Sonny.
It's part of the game for a fighter to make aggressively optimistic statements about his prospects, whether he believes them or not.
Ask any of my fans when was the last time they lost. I'm too fast.
Champion from
I'm
the
the
crib.
king. Born the champ.
Born the champ from the crib. Ah!
And besides, this kind of lighthearted overconfidence had been a staple of Clay's personality.
See that barrel in the street? I beat him before the fight.
You'd actually take him on before the fight?
Beat him like I'm his daddy. I make this prediction. This will be the biggest upset in all fighting history, and this will be the easiest fight of my life. The ball is training harder for this fight than any fight in the past. He knows I'm great, and if he run, he'll go and won. And if he don't want to fight, he should keep his ugly self home that night.
Do you think he'll show up?
Before I left, he asked me to dip into my fight film library and show him the Robinson-LaMotta fight.
I chose to be like Sugar Ray Robinson. I like the way he danced. I like his class, his art, his footwork. He was colorful and real mastercraft and punching boxer. I tried to move a lot like I used to see him do.
He ran off the film again and again, stopping it at key points and running through the sequences as he studied Robinson's moves. I was very impressed by his mood. It was serious, thoughtful, no trace of frivolity or bluff.
I think he should be locked up for impersonating a fighter.
Cassius Clay is fined $2,500.
Most of us there thought Clay was operating out of sheer terror, was literally going mad with fear. But when his blood pressure was taken, it was found to be normal, which marked the limits of his normalcy.
All set now. World heavyweight boxing title on the line. 31-year-old Sonny Liston, 22-year-old Cassius Clay. Sonny the champion, Cassius the challenger. Sonny 218, Cassius 210 and a half, a 7.5-pound weight pool. Cassius Clay on the move as we see, looking to get Sonny to lunge, carrying his left hand dangerously low. Note that the champion, Liston, the aggressive man, a good heavy shot dug under the heart. Sonny has to set the pace. That's the way it looks at the outset. Sonny seems to be trying to slip those left leads. Can't do it too successfully because the challenger is jabbing all over. Body, head, and right hand. The best punch of the fight so far. We're down to the closing second of this first round, and the long left lead is making the difference so far by Mr. Clay. The referee did not stop that round when that bell sounded. Perhaps the referee didn't hear it. We're looking in with our overhead camera into the corner of Cassius Clay, who is still doing the talking. Liston wants to pump that jab to set up his other punches. He wants to use it as a left lead, a lead to other shots if he can get this kid to stand still and then rip the body. Very slippery.
What's wrong with Clay?
I see that, Joe. His eyes are bothering him. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know exactly what happened. They're yelling from Cassius Clay's corner. Something got in his right eye. However, he's blinking badly. Sonny's going to try to pull it on. Cassius still having some problems with his eyes. He's blinking and he's bouncing away continually. Sonny has a big mouth below his left eye, and he's getting hit with all the punches in the book. They might be stopping it. That might be all, ladies and gentlemen. Get up there, Joe. Get up there. Get up in the ring.
I don't have a mark on my face, and I upset Sonny Liston, and I just turned 22 years old. I must be the greatest. I told the world, I talk to God every day. If God's with me, can't nobody be against me.
Sonny,
I shook up the world. I know God. I know the real God.
Cassius, wait a minute, Cassius.
I am the king of the world.
Hold it.
I'm pretty.
Hold it, you're not that pretty.
I'm a bad man.
Wait.
I shook up the world. I shook up the world.
I
shook up the world.
Wait a minute, Cash, wait a minute.
You must listen to me.
Now listen to me.
I am the double.
All right, hold it. Ladies and gentlemen, I must tell you this.
I can't be beat.
Joe, wait, hold it. They're booing the champ, but I don't think so. All right, tell us this. All right, Cash.
That Clay probably could still beat something because he had too much confidence. So.
All right, he had too much confidence. They're lifting Clay up. Where is he making that speech? Over in the neutral corner. Get him back here, or get him over there if you can. He's throwing kisses to everybody. As we look into the face of Cassius Clay, let's get Angelo Dundee, the manager, and at one time bring him over here.
Match. I want the world to know I'm so great until Sonny Liston was not even a match. I don't have a mark on my face. In the 5th round, he had liniment in his head, he had liniment in his gloves, and I couldn't do nothing but hold him and jump. My whole face is burning.
Your face was burning.
Still burning. And I whooped him. He couldn't even hurt me. And I must admit, that was the prettiest thing that ever lived.
Hold it. Here's a guy.
I just shook up the
Here's
world.
Joe Louis. Joe,
come
on in and ask.
I won't ask
Cassius.
And 20 minutes later, he met the entire press corps.
What you gonna say now, huh? He can't go 1 round. He might get him in 2. He's pulling his hands back. He holds his hands too low. While I'm still burning with all of you reporters made it hard on this one. Never write about me like that. Never make me 6-1. You just make me angry. Never make me no underdog. And never talk about who's gonna stop me. Well, ain't nobody gonna stop me. Not a heavyweight in the world fast enough to stop me. Liston's one of the powerfulest in the world, and he looked like a baby. I held my hands down here and just played with it. I just played with it. I shook all of you. Oh, I whooped him so bad. Wasn't that good? Oh, I shook up the world. Bow to my feet. Tell me I am the great. Oh, I'm so pretty. I shook up the world. Now, I'm through talking. I'm through talking. Now, you write the result.
The night spawned 1,000 rumors. The fight had been fixed. Both purses had been impounded. Liston was flying somewhere to meet with mafia overlords and be paid for taking a dive and allowing them to win $30 million. The new champion was about to announce his candidacy for the governorship of Texas, was urging that Harlem declare its independence and name him president. He had to be taken away by men in white coats. But super athlete, phony or maniac, Cassius Clay simply could not be dislodged from stage center in the public attention.
And after beating Sonny Liston and after becoming champion, I no longer had to talk to convince people that I was the best because they knew it. A few weeks, I would say, before the title, I officially signed and joined the religion of Islam as taught by our leader, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And then, weeks after winning the title, he bestowed upon me the beautiful name of Muhammad Ali.
This was sensational news. For once, reality was more startling than rumor. There was nothing playful about the black Muslims. Under the stewardship of an elderly little man who called himself Elijah Muhammad, it had remained an obscure and powerless sect. But then it had been joined by a remarkable man, an ex-pimp, ex-dope peddler, ex-convict, renamed Malcolm X, who had taught himself to read in jail, discovered the world of ideas, and who had exploded on the scene as the most articulate and dynamic Negro leader since Frederick Douglass. Clay, during the past year, had been spending a great deal of time with Malcolm X, and like so many others who had fallen under this influence, had begun to think about himself and about society in a whole new way. With him as spokesman, recruiter, and fundraiser, the Nation of Islam, its official title, had begun to grow in a way that terrified not only the white, but the Negro establishment.
You have to read the history of slavery to understand. There were two kinds of Negroes. There was that old house Negro and the field Negro. And the house Negro always looked out for his master. When the field Negroes got too much out of line, he held them back in check. He put them back on the plantation. The house Negro could afford to do that because he lived better than the field Negro. He ate better, he dressed better, and he lived in a better house. He lived right up next to his master in the attic or the basement. He ate the same food his master ate and wore his same clothes. And he could talk just like his master. Good diction. And he loved his master more than his master loved himself. That's why he didn't want his master hurt. If the master got sick, he'd say, "What's the matter, boss? We sick?" He was as sick as the master. But then you had some field Negroes who lived in huts, had nothing to lose. They wore the worst kind of clothes, they ate the worst food, and they caught hell. They felt the sting of the lash. They hated their master. Oh, yes, they did. If the master got sick, they prayed that the master died. This was the difference between the two. And today you still have house Negroes and field Negroes. I'm a field Negro.
You don't have a peaceful revolution. The only revolution in which the goal is a desegregated lunch counter, a desegregated theater, a desegregated park, and a desegregated public toilet. You can sit down next to white folks on the toilet.
The reaction of the white community to Clay's announcement is a fascinating thing to examine. Clay had been viewed very favorably by whites because he seemed to be reflecting white attitudes. He was not a white man, not a white hope. But with his eager money hunger, his sharp wits, his clean-cut beauty, his arrogance, he was the next best thing. This is what had drawn the cream of Kentucky society to his Louisville bouts from the earliest days. This is what had made 11 local blue blood millionaires form themselves into a syndicate for his management. This is why the whites turned on him with such fury when, occupying center stage in the world's attention, on the morning after he'd won the world's heavyweight championship, he announced his allegiance to the most militant, most anti-white group. It was not only anger and fear, but anger and fear multiplied by disappointment, by a sense of betrayal. He'd been viewed as such a good boy, and now, what they'd completely misinterpreted was the nature and direction of Clay's pride. While in simple admiration of what he saw in the mirror, he was intoning, "I'm pretty, I'm beautiful," the most advanced Negroes in the country were consciously trying to resurrect their own pride and manhood through a total rejection of white values. "Black is beautiful" became their rallying cry. Beautiful, the same word Clay always used about himself. He had kept the habit of making little sketches to illustrate his state of mind.
I couldn't see myself taking part in nothing where I would help and aid in any way to shooting and killing these Asiatic, dark, black people who haven't called me nigger, haven't lynched me, if they haven't deprived me of freedom, justice, and equality, they haven't assassinated my leaders. I couldn't see myself shooting little black babies and black children that don't even have food to eat.
1964 was a very busy year for the new champion. He visited Africa, got married, changed his name to Muhammad Ali, and strengthened his ties to the black Muslims, who at this time were torn by a factional struggle, culminating in the assassination of Malcolm X.
Might be a little sore. I don't know. This
Contracts were signed for a return bout with Sonny Liston.
Well, in your own mind, do you think you'd be ready to go into serious training for the fight with Liston right now?
Well, I'll have to talk to my secret strategy man. As you know, Stephen Fetcher here is 72 years old. He's been around Jack Johnson and all those Grace Joe Lewis, and he's been with fighters that have had hernia operations. And when do you think we'll be ready to go to work, Stephen?
Well, about two weeks, but when we get straight, we'll be able to do 25 rounds.
25 rounds?
Yeah. Twice as fast as he...
Twice as fast.
Cassius, after Sonny Liston, then what?
Well, after we get the bear, we will go after the hare.
And who's the hare?
The hare is the rabbit, Floyd Patterson.
What about the Machen Terrell winner?
What do you think about the Machen Terrell winner? You was telling me something about that the other day, Steph.
Oh, well, that's a jive deal.
Jive?
Yeah, they just want to... They'll be all right. What you know?
We don't know much about
He
them.
said he was coming over there when you do the exhibition. If we do, we're going to drag him in the room and beat him down.
And for this second bout, Sonny Liston, ex-badman, was the sentimental favorite. The white community ardently hoped that he would whip that arrogant young black Muslim and regain the championship. This hope was to last exactly 1 minute, 40 seconds, after the first bell.
Muhammad, the night you knocked out Sonny Liston in 1 round, practically the whole world was of the opinion that Sonny Liston had taken a dive.
Yeah, he did take a dive. When I hit him with the right hand.
I quite agree.
Most of them do take dives.
Most of the people witnessing the fight did not see the punch.
Naturally.
Just as none of the television audience saw the fight. Now, when he came out, you danced around. And I think you threw a lazy right hand at him. And when you realized how easy he could be hit, you then began to move him with nothing, looking to get one good punch at him, because that's the way it appeared.
Now I'm telling him to get up off the floor. Because I'm going to show you, but mainly the fans who's watching, who don't know what happened the night I fought Sonny Liston. I'm going to show them exactly what happened when I fought Sonny Liston. The anchor punch that I called Steppin' Fetcher helped me to develop this punch, the old great Steppin' Fetcher. So here's the punch I use. And Sonny Liston is coming at me with a jab, or whoever it is, and it's the impact that get him. He's jumping in with a left, and right with split-second timing, I move back just before he punched and meet him head on, see? And remember, when I throw this punch, he had just missed and fell forward. There he is.
It was the most dramatic annihilation of a top-flight heavyweight since the second Louis Schmeling fight. In the months following, he defended his championship more frequently than any champion in memory.
What about the time I fought Floyd Patterson? I mean, he couldn't hit me. I mean, I actually played with him. Well, I mean, I beat him at will. I didn't really hurt him, but they stopped the fight because it wasn't even no contest. Not a contest. Do you think he could have hit me with a jab if he really was in good shape? Footwork and speed-wise, it wasn't no contest.
That is true, but he had a bad back.
Any man that can go 13 rounds with me was good.
If I was with Floyd Patterson and he was as he was the night he beat Archie Moore, you wouldn't have a chance.
When I beat Floyd Patterson, he went 13 rounds with me, 12 out of 13, and I was at my best.
And you couldn't knock him out.
Look, when Floyd
Patterson
had
a bad back, and you couldn't knock him out.
I didn't want to knock him out.
You didn't
want to? I was punishing him for the way he was talking about me.
That was your story to excuse
it. Wasn't no story.
Of course it was.
Look, if you get the films and look at him, you could see I wasn't hitting him as hard as I could have. I'm faster than Patterson at his fastest. Plus,
That's
I'm
your
bigger
opinion.
and harder. My opinion.
Your opinion. You fought him with a bad back, and he almost caught up.
Oh, that was the excuse. He had a bad back when I fought him.
Bad
when I
back.
fought Ernie Terrell, his eye was hurt. When I fought Sonny Liston, he had a bad
I'm not talking
shoulder.
about these other men. I don't know about the other men. I'm familiar with his condition.
Well, if his back was bad, then how come he fought so hard in the last round, throwing punches from every angle?
He wasn't throwing punches. He was catching punches.
All of them catch punches, not just
That's right, but he caught him in that fight.
How come is it we can't get along? What's the trouble?
I don't know what the trouble is. I think you're stretching your imagination, that's all.
Can you box?
Well, let's try.
Let's take a walk.
Oh, come now.
Come on over here. Go me too.
Oh. Did I touch your lip? Did I touch your lip, really?
Traveled to Europe to cream Henry Cooper, Brian London, and Carl Mildenberger. Put the hard-hitting Cleveland Williams away in 3.
I was surprised that he hit as hard as he did. I really thought I had a pushover that night because he's been around so long, and I figured he's way over the hill. But that Cleveland Williams had a lot of hard punches. Just caught him with a sharp right. He hit hard. He caught me a couple of times that really shook me up. See how big he is? Tall and strong. He just kept coming like that.
Williams is going to come back here with a hard left hook, but he missed. I think I watched that right hand. I caught him with that right hand again. See, that's the same right hand that I used in the Olympics. And he's really flat out this time. I think he might try. The bell saved him, I can remember.
See, people don't realize that when you're set for the punch, even if not completely set, as punches usually are, you still can hit very hard.
This is round 3, I think. This is the round I got him in. I just caught him with another right hand. That's that Ali shuffle. Here comes the shuffle again, I think. There's that shuffle again that I've perfected. Many people say it's clowning, they say it's joke, it's not sincere. What would you have done, or what would you advise a good fighter to do when I do the shuffle? Now, you must remember, the second I do this shuffle, whatever you have planned, you're going to either forget it or you're going to look at my feet. This was to get me out of positions. It could be used for the aggressive attack or the defensive retreat. Most of all, it was used from the center of the ring on a title fight with Cleveland Williams. It confuses the man for a second, and it'll confuse him if he catches me in a corner. And this is the way it goes. See, like if I'm jumping around the ring, this is my position, and that shuffle is just a flash for just a minute. And in that split second, then lights out. It's all over.
Does it work?
It's all over. What would you do if you was a fighter?
You did what?
If I did all these shuffles.
Well, you just telling me.
Why are you getting on guard?
Well, listen, I figured you're going to do the shuffle.
I done did it. You didn't see it?
That's right. So fast, I couldn't see.
No, seriously, the shuffle is just, I'm bouncing. Don't hit me now, because I'm not in shape. I'm a little out of shape. I'm jumping around. And for a minute, whatever, put your guard up. You're not going to be doing this in the ring. Is that your position?
That's right.
Well, that's your position. And we are boxing. And for a minute, I'm doing the shuffle.
That's what I would do.
You're not as dumb as you look.
That's right. That's right.
He was intoxicated by the idea of being champion. He exulted in his title, loved the crowds, the special pressures, the fanatic attention.
Oh, he's so cool.
Do you realize what it means to be the best in the world at something? Especially at something so savagely competitive as boxing? To be the best in the world. To rise above the desperate stratagems of the pug on the way up or down. How many kids under how many sleazy, buck-hungry trainers, living on hamburgers and Cokes, pickling their fists in brine to make them tough, overmatched because it's the only match that can be made. To be told by his trainer that it was a lucky punch and that he's a cinch to win his next bout. To rise out of all that. To rise so far when down is so low. To become the best in the world. It was part of Clay's electric responsiveness that he could never take his title for granted. And when he wasn't fighting title bouts, he was boxing exhibitions. It was as if he knew that his time for fighting was coming to an end, and he wanted to do as much as he could, as quickly as he could.
I think you became a professional the night you fought Chavallo. That night, because you deliberately took punishment, you showed you had developed the discipline as well as the character.
In that fight, I heard so much about people talking about he can't take it to the body. Chavallo might get him in the body. People hollering, stay on his body. Here's where I'm letting him punch me here, see?
That's right, I remember that. I remember that clearly. And this is the part that I think intimidated him, though it was a slow process. And finally, it seemed to sink in, I can't hurt this fellow, and he has no respect and no regard for me. You took away from him his great asset, his ability to keep coming and wear his man down. I think that was taking away his best weapon. You took the bullets out of his gun, so to speak.
I like to say he just wouldn't fall because he was strong.
He was trying to prove something beyond simple victory. But what? That he was beyond mortal anxieties? That no blows could hurt him?
But his immunity did not extend to politics. Black Muslimism changed more than his name. His draft classification was changed from 1Y to 1A.
That was a great surprise to me. It was not me who said that I was classified 1Y the last time or whatever it was. It was them, it was the government who tested me. It was the government who said that I'm not able. all of a sudden they seem to be anxious to push me into the Army and throw me in the 1A category out of 30 or 40 men that they could have picked from, and 2 men made the decision. And another thing I don't understand, I really don't understand, is why me, a man who pays the salary of at least 50,000 men in Vietnam, a man who the government takes $6 million from a year out in 2 fights, a man who can pay in 2 fights for 3 bomber planes, why would you take and seek out and be anxious to call me out of 30 men who you could have called? And I just don't understand yet how I can be reclassified as 1A without testing me in no way, just calling me like this, and I just don't understand it.
During the year, he had been expressing more and more emphatically his disinclination to serve in the armed forces of the United States. Now, he was heading on a direct collision course with the draft law.
When I'm expected to go overseas to help free the people in South Vietnam, and at the same time, my people here in Kentucky are being brutalized and mistreated, and this has really disturbed me more so than what's happening in Vietnam.
Hell no, we won't vote. Hell no, we won't vote. We may have some action. No, we won't vote. Hell no, we won't vote. Eddie made some action. No, we won't vote. Hell 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 no, we won't vote. We may have some action. Hell no, we won't vote. Hell no, we won't vote. Hell no, we won't vote.
The question has been asked, what happens to a registrant who refuses to take the step forward at the induction ceremony?
Now, draft is another thing that's against my religious beliefs.
When a registrant refuses this first step, when his name is called, he is quietly removed from the room. He is counseled as to the seriousness of his refusal. He is given the penalties, the maximum legal penalties that this act could result in.
We believe in obeying the laws of the land. We are taught to obey the laws of the land as long as it don't conflict with our religious beliefs.
Then he is returned to the ceremony room, given another opportunity to take the step forward which constitutes induction into the armed forces.
Whatever the punishment, whatever the persecution is for standing up for my religious beliefs, even if it means facing machine gun fire that day, I will face it before denouncing Elijah Muhammad and the religion of Islam. I'm ready to die.
If he again refuses, we ask him if he would give a statement that he refuses induction.
I said that I'm going to be a man, I'm going to fight it legally. If I lose it, I'm just going to jail.
If he says no, we dismiss him. If he says yes, he writes out a statement in his own handwriting. We witness it, and then we release him. We notify the draft board and make a report to the United States Attorney. And that's it.
I took my step back because I am a Muslim. I believe in Allah. I believe in the Holy Quran. I'm not burning no draft cards. I still have it. I'm not laying on the Pentagon steps. I'm not hanging statues of Lyndon Johnson. I'm not burning American flag. I'm only following the law.
Muhammad Ali, also known as Cassius Clay, was indicted for draft evasion.
This picture right here describes me in the court. It shows the white judge with an evil face. It has the jury over here, 12 whites with all evil faces. So all the jury were looking angry, and the judge was looking mad. And here we was just a matter of time at going through the court procedures, but I knew where I was headed. And before that, I had drawn a picture up here, a little cartoon with me thinking, showing over my head, and you see a jail, which is where they finally sent me to.
He was tried and convicted, sentenced to 5 years in the federal penitentiary. The conviction was appealed. The appeal was denied. He was stripped of his championship in every one of the 50 states and was unable to obtain a boxing license anywhere in the United States.
I know I'm the champion. I have the belt in my living room, same belt, traditionally, it's the same belt that Jack Johnson had, Gene Tooney, Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano, and John L. Sullivan. And they say here in America that the only way you can lose that title is in the ring. The only way you can get it is in the ring. Now, I've never been defeated. I beat the best that Canada had, the best that Germany had, the best that England had. I beat the best that America has, and I don't see nothing around today to top me.
There had been a war in Joe Louis's time, too. But Joe had gone along with it, enlisted in the Army, and was made a master sergeant. Now, there's no doubt that Ali was offered the same soft hitch. A master's sergeancy, at least, perhaps a direct commission. And his combat duty would have been confined to boxing exhibitions. He would have been called on for public relations chores, physical training programs, special service shows, and so forth. Would have been encouraged to defend his championship, would have been given time off to get in shape. Such would have been his active service. And still, the government would have thought it was getting a bargain. He would have been worth more than a platoon of riflemen by allowing himself to serve as a symbol of racial harmony and Negro support for what we were doing in Vietnam. But it was not to be. Muhammad Ali was accepting no soft touches at the expense of his ideas.
Now, I would like to hear this from you. I would like to hear this from you. And I want the world and the cameras to hear. Who's the heavyweight champion of the world? One more time, we don't want no excuses. They may say the film was bad or the camera was broke. One more time, who's the champion of the world?
And now it began to seem that the Defense Department and the federal judiciary had succeeded in doing something very significant. They had built a bridge between the Black Revolution and rebellious white youth, something the ablest tacticians of the left had been unable to do.
He wanted to know after the whole draft business is over, whether I'm in jail or not, will I come back to fight? Well, you don't know. I heard they start cleaning out my cell because they look for me to be on the trail to jail without bail.
In making a bankrupt and a felon out of this champion, they had made him a martyr and a hero. A black man uniquely qualified to seize the imagination of white youth and seduce it toward an alliance with black extremism.
The white race attacked the black people. You don't ask us what's our religion or what's our belief. You just start whooping black heads. They don't say, are you a Catholic? Are you a Baptist? Are you a black Muslim? Are you a Martin Luther King follower? Are you a Whitney Young? They just go. See, we have been brainwashed. Everything good and of authority was made white. We look at Jesus, we see a white with blonde hair and blue eyes. We look at all the angels, we see white with blonde hair and blue eyes. Now, I'm sure if there's a heaven in the sky and the color folks die and go to heaven, where are the colored angels? They must be in the kitchen preparing the milk and honey. We look at Miss America, we see white. We look at Miss World, we see white. We look at Miss Universe, we see white. Even Tarzan, the king of the jungle in back Africa, he's white.
And as his audiences responded with more and more fervor, as he hammered his points home more and more effectively, then indeed it began to seem that in this one rich personality was embodied that tricky, tragic, explosive decade, the 60s.
White House cigars. White Swan soap, King White soap, White Cloud tissue paper, White Rain hair rinse, White Tornado floor wax, White Plus toothpaste. All the good cowboys ride the white horses. The White House. Angel food cake is the white cake, but the devil food cake is the chocolate cake.
A loudmouth from Louisville who became adept at a particularly brutal trade, refusing to obey the law and allow himself to be drafted into the armed forces of his country, as if he was someone special. Is he someone special?
Can an athlete be considered that special just because he's the best in the world? Or is it his refusal that makes him special? They took away his money, his prizes, reduced his fame, slandered his name, finally left him nothing but his refusal.
Even if the wealth of America was given to me,
for taking the step. The wealth of America and the friendship of all of the people who support the war, this will still be nothing if I am not content internally and if I'm not in accord with the will of Almighty Allah.
In an arena larger than the ring and for stakes greater than any purse, he kept fighting back.
No nation, no people can be free without land. And we are a whole nation, 22 million people without a toothpick factory.
We worked 310 years and ain't got nothing. At least you worked 100 years and got something.
So you can't now be angry because they tired and they don't see no more hope in integrating and fail, swimming in the fail, laying in, walking in, still getting their heads beat in, and you wonder now why they tired.
And we fought in all the wars, and we still fighting in them, and still a nigger. What you mean if I believe in separation? I've recognized the fact that you believe in it. That's what your people believe in. What you mean you don't believe in it? No, you just talking crazy. Every city I go to, I can find a black neighborhood and a white neighborhood. And what you mean don't believe in it? How many Negroes live out here just in this big old neighborhood? You can't blame a black man for wanting to leave all this mistreatment. You must be crazy. So what you mean don't take white money? Only thing white about that money is the white pictures on it. What you mean white money? If that's the case, I should take off these clothes. You made them too. I shouldn't fly in your airplanes. What am I gonna do? Just go out and lay down somewhere and hide in the mud hole?
What now? What is to become of Muhammad Ali, also known as Cassius Clay? It would be up to the individual boxing commissions to consult their sensitive standards of ethics and decide whether or not to let him fight again.
There is another possibility, of course. He may keep on the way he's going to develop into a leader of the Black Revolution. His popularity is growing among the youth, black and white, as our national policies continue to decay. Can he do this? Can he go this route? Some think he can become as powerful a spokesman as Malcolm X in his own way. But will he be allowed to become a leader?
Let's quit worrying white people, plaguing white people's neighborhood, forcing ourselves on white people, and we don't clean up and do for ourselves. The slum is not in the neighborhood. The slum is not in the ghetto. The slum is in the people. The people make the slum. And the condition our people are in now, if you gave them a $93 million project, they'll make a slum out of it in 24 hours. Then you can take a nation of people who are intelligent and they can make a slum of paradise.
There are no easy solutions for Muhammad Ali. No happy ending for this attempt at telling his story. Except this.
To be a champion is to convert obstacles into stepping stones. It is possible to strip a man of a title, but in a more important sense, champion means a set of qualities rather than an official title.
You know, all of the youth are watching you, and all of them look up to you and idolize you.
A champion is a species of hero, and a hero is nourished by misfortune. That is why he attracts legend. Let us hope, then, that no action of Defense Department or federal judiciary or Muslim factionalism can quench these qualities that make Ali a champion. He is more than a champion. He is a man.